Hey artists, this is Sandra from Let Art Flow. I thought I would do a fun painting with you guys. You can follow along. I did this the other day at a birthday party and it turned out great. Everybody did such a beautiful job with it and they added their own little details in there. So I wanted to do this with you guys. So here's what it looks like, your finished product. But we're going to do some different things with it too. So we're going to get started now. I have a 16 by 20 canvas. Get that over there. And so these are the colors I'm using. Just primary colors, white and black. Pretty easy to mix all the colors we need from there. So I have a set of brushes here. They're pretty standard. But let me see. I'm going to be using this brush to start off with. So any big brush that you have will work. Let me see, get that wet. So what I want you to do first is we're going to mix up a pink. So red is a very intense color, so we just need a little bit of that to start off with. And mix it in with our white here. We're going to do the sunset in the background first. And what's cool about this is it's going to be a mirrored image. I'll show you what I mean in just a little bit. So I'm mixing up a nice pink right there. What I'm going to start off with is I'm going to make a horizontal line across my painting. It doesn't have to be super perfect or anything right now. We're just getting a baseline going. Alright, so we have that. And so we're going to do a mirror image. The sky is going to be reflected in the water down here. So whatever we do above this line, we're going to mirror down below. So I have that going. So I'm going to start off with over here. I'm going to paint up into my sky a little bit. And I kind of like to blend the edges out of my paint so there's not a harsh line, because we're going to be blending in that in with the blue and the black and the yellow later on. Alright, so that's a good start right there. So again, this is a mirrored image, so I want you to do basically the same shape down here. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, just something kind of similar. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm not cleaning out my brush, I'm just taking a little bit of yellow and I'm going to mix it in there. Since that's one of my most favorite things. I love all the colors in them. So I'm kind of keeping it to the edge. I just put a little bit on my brush to start off with. So I just have that little bit there. I'll put some over here, I think. And you can see, since we're moving kind of fast here, it still mixes in with the wet paint on the background. So it'll be nice and blended in here. Makes it a nice pretty orange color. So this part I blended in pretty well. A little bit more yellow in here. So I blended that in pretty well. You can also just take a little bit more on here and put a few little stripes in here. Just gives it a little bit of variation. Alright, I think that's good now for my colorful part of the sky. So now I do want you to clean out your brush. just a little bit on a piece of paper towel. There's my kitty again. Alright, so what I want you to do now is I have just straight blue right here. So I'm going to load up my brush just a little bit. Don't get too much on there. Work it a little bit at a time. And what we're going to do is blend this blue into our sunset here. So you get even more variations with the colors when you mix the blue over the yellow that we have there and the pink. I'm not going all the way to my edge because I'm going to make a darker color to go out there. And I'm pressing very lightly. Just gets a few good colors in there. And so I want you to do that on all the sides of our sunset here. You can always add more paint, so if you start off with a little bit lighter, that's always a good thing. It's very hard to take away paint. See, it kind of mixes in, makes a nice purple color. So I'm just pressing very lightly going over that. Get some cool colors in there. So I'm going to do my bottom now. And if you need to stop the video to catch up, because I know I paint really fast. If you need to pause the video, do whatever you need to do to get to a point where you are happy with it. For this part, I am trying to keep my brush strokes pretty horizontal. Makes it blend in a little bit easier so you don't see the different paths your brush is taking. Yeah, if you do try this, I would absolutely love to see your work. I'll share it with my Let Art Flow fans and artists. You know, painting is very relaxing for me. I always preferred drawing, but there's something about painting that just gets me. See, I have almost all the paint off my brush now, so I can just drag right through the middle and blend those colors together a little bit there. There we go. And I'm pretty happy with that right now. So now what I want you to do is I want to take a little bit of black and mix it in with our blue here. So black is a very, very intense color. So I want you to take just a little bit of time and mix it in. You just need a little bit at a time to change another color. It's very intense. I'll put a little bit more in, I think. So I have a fairly dark blue here. And so I went and I kept just the regular blue right around the color. So what I want to do now is go out a little bit farther. Just going to get paint on here real quick. Then I'll come back and blend that in. So if you have any little spots of white right there, you can go ahead and cover those up. And I'll come back on this side. Cat is very mischievous. Alright, so do some down here so that dark color I made. Just blue with a little bit of black in it. I'm just keeping my brush strokes horizontal so I can make a nice smooth transition from color to color. Very light pressure. And I'm suddenly for a brush. And if you run out of paint, don't worry. I used all mine up. Just mix in a little bit more. So this painting would be good for the older artists. I know I did some classes with the middle school, and I'm positive they can do this. I would really love to see some of my artists that were in that class do this. Alright. So I have blue, dark blue over my canvas. Go in this corner right here. Alright. So the last thing I want you to do is want to just take straight black. So just straight black here. We don't even have to clean out the brush. Still good to use that. I just like to get my brush completely coated. And so what we're doing with this is we're going to do our edges. And I always tell my classes that your painting always sells for much more when you have your edges painted. So you can see my edges not yet painted. But on the top while we're working still, this very top corner here I want you to make black. And just blend it in with the dark blue that we had going already. Same with this corner over here. Just going to put a little bit over on this side. And we'll do our bottom. So we're doing pretty good so far with our mirrored image. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just some semblance of mirroring will work. Alright, so I think we just about have our sky finished as far as the colors go. make it. I'll come back later and do my edges if you want. I'm just going to make it all black, so it'll be very easy to paint that in. If you're working with, if you're working on another painting, a lot of times I like to carry the color over that's on the top. So this pink, I'll go right off onto the side, but I think we'll just do black right now. Alright, I'll come back later and do the rest of the edges. But you can see it gives a more finished look when you set it down, as opposed to these other edges going on here. Okay, so I'm going to clean out my brush. And this is always the fun part. I love doing this next part. We're going to put stars in our sky. So just be careful when you're doing this because it can get a little bit messy, but it shouldn't be too bad. So I have a art toothbrush. It's only been used for paint, I swear. But what we're going to do is I'm going to load up my brush with a little bit of watered down white. And this action right here, you can see the old paint in there. It will spray little dots on your painting. So let me show you how to do that. So I just dip my toothbrush in water, getting a little bit of my white paint here. So, and then another thing, your fingers will get dirty, but it's okay. It's just paint. It's always fun to get a little bit messy. Okay, so I have that. What I want you to do is keep all your stars up above this pink line that we made. So I'm going to just flick my bristles to make my stars. So you can go around, you can put as many stars as you want. If you hold it a little bit closer, it's a little bit more concentrated. Try not to dip or drip water like I just did. I'm getting a little paint here. So let me see, if I do it a little closer, I can get a bigger concentration. It looks like a little cluster of stars there. I always like having a lot of stars in mine. Ooh. I'm dripping bad today. Let me see. That'll be okay. If you take a little bit of paper towel, you can dab it off right away. We'll put a moon there later. It'll work. Alright, so I think I'm going to put a couple more stars. And I really like how some of the stars, they look like they're little lines, like right here. Right here, it kind of looks like a shooting star. Alright, so there's our sky for us. Alright. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our trees and our horizon line in. So we can use that same brush that we did earlier. I just like grabbing a little smooth brush like this. This is an angled flat brush. Get a little wet, and we're going to use black mostly from now on. So I like to go right in the middle of our pink line that we made earlier. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect right now. We're just getting a baseline for our horizon and for our trees to be built on. Good start for us. Alright, so I'm going to start with the tree line. And you can use different brushes. I have a fan brush here that I like to use a lot for trees. I've made brushes with my big brush here. Pretty much any brush you have, just depends on how you use it, you can make them. So I'll show you how to make trees with both of these brushes. So I'll start off with my little fan brush here. What I like to do with my fan brush is I load it up, spin it around, make sure there's nothing too goopy hanging off of it. So just nice and loaded. So what I can do with trees for this one is I'm just tapping straight up and down. So make some short ones, make some tall ones. So this would be our little forest on the other side of the lake here. So I'm just continuing along, going up and down, just tapping real lightly on that. And then I can come back in once I get my base going there. Now I'm just holding my brush like this just to fill in the bottom a little bit. It makes it look like it's a more dense forest. So I'm just going down my line here. Let me see, I'll come over and do some more over here. Fill in the bottom part a little bit just to make it look more dense. Okay, so that was with my fan brush. I did that. So I'm going to switch to the other brush to show you guys how that's going to work. So we're doing the same type of motion with this one. My big brush here. So I just load up the end of my brush, and these are just going to make a little bit fatter trees. So just the end. Oh, I'll get more paint in there. So you can get pretty much the same effect. So if you don't have a fan brush, you can use just a little wide brush here. Kind of gives it a little bit more fuzzy look. There's all kinds of trees in the forest, so we just have a different patch over here of different kinds of trees. So I'm going to go all the way over to the end of my painting. On the bottom just a little bit. And my side over here. So I just make tall ones, short ones, all different kinds of trees. Yeah, and this might take a few minutes. That's perfectly fine. If you need to pause the video, go right ahead. Alright. So there's my trees, two ways. Fan brush right here, and the big wide brush over here on the sides. I'm going to clean up my edges just a little bit down here. Doesn't have to be perfect because this is the bank over on the other side. What I'm going to do is going to make our land down here right on the sides. So I like to just come from the edge and make little parts that jut out into the water every so often. The closer they get down to you at the bottom, they're going to get a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. And I'll make the very bottom completely black. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Start over here. So I'm I'm just keeping my brush horizontal to the painting. Just moving it back and forth. Make maybe a little one come way over here. There we go. You can make this totally your own personal painting. Come back over and join my other side down here. Yep, so that's just straight black all the way around now. So we have our little lake showing up there. You can come back in and just make, I won't go down too far, but just some semblance that it's not perfectly smooth shore over there. The yellow part comes out like that, I think. Alright, there we go. That was good. So I'll let our black dry on the bottom and clean out our brushes. I didn't do it on my sample painting I showed you earlier, but at the party we did, we put constellations, we put moons, there were spaceships involved. Anything you want to do to customize it and make it your own is a wonderful thing. Art is very personal. Alright, let me see. Let me clean out my little brush here. I think I'm going to make a crescent moon. So I have my little flat angle brush right here. Take a little bit of my white. And that spot that I made earlier where I dropped that drip on there, I think I'm going to turn them into a moon. So, yeah, nice little crescent going on here. And so we want that reflected down here. So let me see, he's about right here, but since water is always moving, the little reflections on there are not going to be the same exact shape. So we want to mirror that, but I like to give it just a little bit of wave in there. So it's broken up just a little bit, and I'll just use the very tip of my brush here. So I can come over here. It's hanging out right by this little peninsula here. Don't need very much, just a little nose, slight reflection. There we go. That'll work for now. I can wipe off my brush just a little bit. Just a bit. Just so there's a hint of reflection right there. Alright. So it's looking pretty good so far, guys. Alright, let me see. So now I'm going to take my fan brush again, and this can be done with that big brush that we had earlier, big flat brush. That'll all work out. So I'm going to take, take my black, dipped it in white. So we're going to make our big pine tree along the side. So I'm going to have them living right down here. Well, that definitely sounded like Bob Ross. So I'm going to make just a line down there. how I like to make pine trees is I use a fan brush, or I can use my big brush, and just use the very edge of it, the little corner there, and I tap back and forth for the very top of the tree. But then I hold it vertical to my canvas, and I just go back and forth on either side, filling in where I think I want to put a branch. And if it's not symmetrical, that makes it even better. You see, I might go up a little bit higher up here. So I just wanted to continue all the way down, refilling your brush as needed. We'll come back in later and do some highlights in it so the guy stands out a bit. See our little tree guys building up here. It's looking pretty good. In the class I did the other day, some of the girls, they did all kinds of trees. They did a bunch of pine trees like this. Someone even put in some kind of like willow tree, I think it was. It looked really, really good. So anything you want to put in here like this would be really, really cool. It makes me really happy when I see people exploring and trying different things on their own. Makes me very happy. Alright, just about done with this guy. Just gonna fill in the bottom down here. Alright, and I think I'm gonna do a little tree right in here. So same thing over here. Just starting off with the very tip of my brush here. Take it down a little bit farther and then bring it up. Yeah, so this painting is a little bit more advanced. So if there's any probably middle school age kids and up, or adults that want to try this, I would absolutely love to see what you come up with. A little bit more black in here to fill it in. That is good for now. So I'm going to clean out my brush. It's still a little wet on here, but we can go ahead with our highlights and just bring it out just a little bit. So use the same brush you were just using, or that big brush. Either one will work. Same concept on both. I'm going to take a little bit of our white here. So the white is going to make it stand out. Kind of blends in a little bit right now. So same thing, but I want you to go on top of the branches that you already made. So it looks like there's a little bit of snow sitting on top of your branches. And again, it doesn't have to be totally filled up here. We can leave some little bare spots. kinds of trees, just make sure the light is being reflected off the moon. So make it on the top part of the branches on this side. Is a good way to remember where your light source is coming from. Just find the moon, or if you have a sun in your painting, just make sure the light is coming from there. Last little bit right here. I'm going to wipe off as much of the paint that I have as possible. It did make it a little bit gray because it was mixing in with the wet paint on the back. And then what I want you to do is just we're going to highlight some of our little slopes down here. Make sure someone's come over here. Doesn't have to be perfect, just a little bit where we can tell it's not just all faded into the background. And the farther you get back, the darker it can be, so you can just let that flow back there. Alright, so there's a pretty quick and easy and fun painting that you can do. And if you didn't paint your edges before, you can go and finish that now. I think I'm going to do that now. Let me see. I'm going to sign mine right here. Alright. Well, I hope you guys had fun doing this with me. Again, please show me if you guys have done it. I would absolutely be thrilled to see your work. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day. Bye.